live.
Okay.
So, hello again, everyone. Remember, I said I was going to be bringing on Kirsten. It is Kirsten, right?
Yes, that's
Kirsten.
right.
I always have to remember. We're bringing on Kirsten today, and she's just going to be talking about Psychic Mastery 1, this foundational course for the advanced student. So, but before we get started, I already see that we have one person that's popped on. So Kirsten, I just want to remind you also, you're going live on YouTube as well. So if we have any YouTube viewers that are joining us, please make a comment in the comment section so that we know that you're here. Hello, hello. So we've been having little technical glitches since Tuesday or Wednesday, and we've been able to kind of override them over and over and again. But definitely, a few of you that have registered, congratulations for the Psychic Mastery 1 program. We're actually up to 17 new enrollees as of today. So I'm super excited to have you all. But just to let you know, I posted our office number there, and Yvonne has been helping, and Kathy and Carrie have been helping everyone behind the scenes. So just give us a call and let us help you make it a lot easier to enroll. But now I'm going to go ahead and hop in. We have Kirsten, and I don't know how long ago it was that I met you. Do you even? Has it been like
Yes, I
5
do
years
remember.
or
I'm able to remember because it's when I started dating my partner.
Oh,
So it was about just a little over 4 years ago.
okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, I came to one of your solstice or
Oh,
equinox
group readings.
group readings. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It was
yeah.
great. I was hooked after that. I was like, yeah, okay, she's got the goods.
We've had a few people meet and marry after meeting during one of the group reading events. So yeah, when the spirit moves you, sometimes it might move you right into marriage. So that's awesome. So I wanted to bring you on and have a conversation because it is very common that we will get phone calls and emails from the spiritual seeker that is either already a spiritual teacher. They've had a very long journey and they're a spiritual teacher. They work at advanced levels. They'll be healers, practitioners that have, a full client load in their office. And so they'll often ask, is the Psychic Mastery 1, because it's a foundational course, is it beneath them for the basic learner? So that's why I wanted to bring you on today. But before we hop into that, I'd really like to, share with everyone who is Kirsten and just a little bit, like how old you are, a little bit about your life, what it is that you do. So
Yes. Well, thanks so much for having me, Nancy. It's a pleasure to be here. And so just a little bit about myself. I'm 52 years old. I have 2 sons. They're both teens, and they're still really lovely, even though they're in a tough age. And I have a background in counseling psychology. I got my master's in counseling psychology, but it's funny, after I got the degree, it's not the traditional path I followed. I learned how to journey, which is a shamanic technique, 25 years ago. It's actually 26 years ago. In 1995, I was taught by Michael Harner, and I've been a shamanic practitioner ever since. It started off slow. I was very private about it at first. But over the years, people started trickling in, mostly brought to my doorstep by my mother. It was like, Mom, don't. But over time, it just unfolded. And really, after my youngest son was born, it kind of I went into another initiation, and it became full on. And before COVID, I was working at a healing center here in Seattle with several female practitioners, ranging from naturopaths to Chinate song healers and the range. And that's a little bit about my background. And like I said, I met Nancy, or was drawn to her work through my partner. And and I understand that feeling of being, and rightfully, like, it's good to have a little skepticism, not everybody's the right teacher for you. And, you have to find your way. And I went to see Nancy with some skepticism, but, open-mindedness as well. And she did not disappoint. I was kind of blown away. And working with a lot of practitioners, I feel like I have a good sense of, who's really got a really strong connection to spirit and who's not as much. And Nancy's, I mean, she blows me away. I've never experienced someone with her level of
Thank you.
ability. It's pretty powerful and hard not to be bowled over by it. So I've been open to exploring her way of teaching because of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just kind of want to jump in because being a student and an apprentice of Michael Harner is a big friggin' deal. It's just his book. What was the very first book? It was
The Way of the Shaman.
The Way of the Shaman. I just have a little quick story and then we'll kind of hop back. So when I had my out-of-body experience, I was kind of shown all these visions of the spiral, right? But I saw them in form of stones. Like I was in my out-of-body adventures, I was repeatedly shown spirals and all kinds of indigenous carvings, ancient megalithic stones and all this stuff. And so I kind of was keeping this journal, but the spiral kept showing up. And so when I was talking to my mother about it, and she said, I've seen those pictures before. Let me see in my library. And she goes, so she pulls out this book of Michael Harner, The Way of the Shaman. And I just consumed it. And he only wrote one other book, correct?
I think so. I don't.
Yeah, just right at the end of his life. And it was equally stellar. So, but anyway, yeah, for you to personally be able to study with him is incredible.
Yeah. And it was, it was one time where he taught us how we were as a workshop, several day workshop, and taught us all the techniques. And it was pretty powerful. And it was his encouragement that kept me on the path. He came over to me and encouraged me to keep going with it, which meant a lot to me at the time and still does. So, yeah.
Yeah. So what have you learned working as a shamanic practitioner or shaman, from over those 25 years? What have you learned in that practice?
Oh, so much. One thing, the most important is that, all of us, we're our own healers, really. It's like even when you're doing these, people can show up sometimes and expect, all the work to be done right then and there. But that's just really a beginning point. Your spirit is bringing, I always say, roller skates and a big shove. It's like, because the work is ongoing and the work is our own, and we, you can't do enough of it right now. It's great to have a healer come and help you and give you guidance. And it's always amazing to hear messages from spirit. But, that is within us, each of us. We may not all be called to be healers, but we all are our own healer, at least, and it's important to, it's just so important to tap into those tools, especially now. I mean, times are changing so rapidly. It's jaw dropping. It's hard to conceive and to stay stay at the same pace at which things are, keep pace with the changes that are happening. It's just unbelievable. And so, there's so much I've learned from shamanism over the years, and the importance of connection to spirit, the importance of connecting to, that knowing that is our birthright. It really is. Like, not everybody's, like I said, called to be like a shamanic practitioner necessarily, but everybody has a birthright to receive higher information and to understand how these kind of lost arts work. And there's nobody that cannot have access to this, this type of stuff. It's not meant for just one sect of people in the world. And our biggest hope in this world is for all of us to do our work, our inner work.
Yeah. And especially, and I love that, when you because I'll say it's not possible for you to not be intuitive. It's not possible, because that's how your spirit navigates through you. Your spirit must use your intuition to help give you those messages or the signals or the impulses, or as you said, the roller skates and the big push to move you forward. And it is definitely an inner journey. Definitely, it can be an outer journey too, where that's that shove from spirit. And so what have you noticed over the years from the early spiritual seeker? Because it is my favorite statement to say to people is, you should be doing this work like your hair is on fire. And I've been saying this for 10 years now, because I knew that acceleration was coming. But I don't know about you, Kirsten, but I most certainly didn't feel prepared for just how rapidly that inner mystic is awakening in people.
Yes, and we could feel like, the one thing that's nice about being in community, which is something that your classes offer, which is invaluable. But I've been fortunate enough to know people who do this type of work, and we all felt it coming. We felt it coming, like the pressure building, we're like, hey, it's coming, something's coming. What's coming? And then, when it hits, you're like, whoa, none of us expect, there was no way to quantify this, what was going to happen, what continues to happen. I'm still just like you said the other day, you got to throw out your playbooks, because it's just
throw out all the rule books, but
and
this is a whole new world.
Yeah. And so what I notice is people waking up, because a lot of times, we'll see in the common or the narrative, offered by the news and whatnot, is it's so dire and, everything's so awful, which, yes, these challenges are happening. They're very real and very painful. But the thing that I've also noticed is how many people are waking up, people that just absolutely, this was so far afield for them to even think about coming to seek out shamanic healing. They're just like, 2 years ago, if you told me I'd be at your doorstep asking for this, I would tell you were crazy, but I don't know what else to do. Nothing else is working. The traditional means of healing are not helping me. And so I'm just noticing people from all walks of life showing up. And what's heartbreaking to me is they think they don't have anybody to talk to about this. But what they don't realize is so many people are having these experiences that they could actually probably chance it and mention it, because probably the person next to them is also having these experiences and could actually relate. But they feel very isolated in their experience and lonely. And so I do love that about your courses, is that it's an instant community of people who can, relate or having their own experiences and are trying to wake up to the shifts that are happening and meet them with their own work. So
and that's what I say. You're not joining a program, or a course or a workshop. You're joining a community.
Absolutely.
And we have a huge community, in kind of in the background, that you can be yourself, that it's private, and like you said, you can sit and observe. But the other thing is that what a lot of people don't realize, and this is a common issue, what I find is the biggest skeptics and hardcore mean skeptics, I'm going to even say, when they awaken, they're like some of the most talented, wise, expansive, awakened ones that just kind of surpass all of us that have been kind of going along for 20 years. It's just all of a sudden there's just this rapid catch up pace. And that's why, and it's usually a lot of husbands who are, doubting, and saying to the wives, I don't know why you're doing this, it's dumb. But as soon as they hop into it, it's like, wow, they have a lot of ability. So you're talking about your partner, that you and your partner practice. Your partner's in the program as well.
Yes, he is. Yes. Thank goodness. Yeah, no, it helps us immensely. Some of the techniques like I use to help deepen our relationship, I do it with my kids. And I will say, there's a difference between, the shamanic work is different. And I was mentioning to you before, like your work is a different facet of the same diamond. And I'm so glad I found it, because it opens up new worlds within this incredible space of transformation for me, that have been really helpful. And I find your work, shamanic work, the goal of it is to sort of be an empty reed or a hollow bone, and spirit moves through you. But what I love about your work is it's giving me a much deeper sense of myself within the work.
Wow.
And that's really important for me. I mean, I've been a shamanic. I learned how to do shamanic work, like I said, like 26 years ago. And so, to go that long without, developing my own, not I've developed my own self, but having these practical tools that are just kind of meat and bones and much more than that. They go the whole gamut. They're just sort of like foundational, and then they go, woo, like, they can blow my mind. So they have the whole spectrum. And I feel like it's a dinner I could eat for the rest of my life, because you give me one technique, and you have all these techniques you're unfolding all the time that are equally amazing. But I can take one of those techniques and work on it all year long. And that's like all I need, because it's so deep and it keeps growing and evolving and taking me to new places. I'm just like, so, and I will say I am one, because a lot of healers or spiritual practitioners, we can have a lot on our plates. I have my own practice. I have the stuff that I do. So I'm reticent to bring on new things. But when I saw the value of what you were teaching, I was like, okay, I'll make room. It's worth it. It's worth it. It is absolutely worth it. It's incredible, the shifts it can help make in you. So
Yeah, I describe, so these techniques, these spiritual techniques, I just want to clarify, because I know I have not really said it a lot, this kind of marathon week of learning that we've had. But these techniques are ancient. They've in Hinduism, they go back 11,000 plus years in their kind of logging and writing about these techniques. So they're very, very, very old, but they definitely have been kind of modernized and kind of distilled a little bit down for our Western learning. However, it's like grounding. So everybody's been learning about grounding this week, and you think you've got it down. And then once you've got it down, then your spirit takes you to a whole nother level of grounding. And then you think, okay, I've got it now. And then it takes you to a whole nother level. So I always kind of this metaphor of the Mario Brothers video game, where once you master that kind of basic level, then you're kind of bumped up to the next level. And each and every one of the techniques are just like that. Now, I did an interview for Mara today. Now, Mara talked about her faith as a Catholic, and that what she loved about her faith as a Catholic, not so much all the rules and regulations, but that feeling that she got from attending church. And she just felt so light and she felt so bright. And then after she left the church, it's like, okay, time to go back to work now. It was like two different people. But what she found was in psychic mastery was that all that light is now, it's about bringing your light into your body. So is that what you have noticed, this ability to embody all the work you've done?
Yes. And I want to just say one thing really quickly about what you just said a minute ago, about this being these old, very ancient techniques. And for me, that's very important. Shamanism has existed on this planet for, at least 40,000 years and possibly 100,000 years, anthropologists say. And so techniques like those, like yours, you're coming from, that have lasted, we have a very short attention span on this planet. If something's not effective, it's going to go by like very quickly. And the fact that I'm drawn to techniques that have stood the test of time. There's a reason they're still being used. And that's validation right there of the effectiveness, or they've been discarded long, long ago. And so what I've noticed a lot about working in this program, that's been a big shift for me. Again, like I said, working, doing shamanic work, it's a lot about giving over to spirit and becoming an empty reed. And working with these modalities, it's a lot more. I've learned so much more about my body and my own spirit, and how to make it healthy, and I didn't know anything, I'll admit, before I met you, about chakras and auras. That's just not the terrain of my experience spiritually, what I do. And it's just been amazing. And it's been amazing to feel myself shift, and amazing to have, instead of always having to ask my guides for help, could you help me? Or could you, is to know how to help myself. And which is why I felt like I was guided to you, because I was. And it's been incredible. And I feel healthier. I feel brighter. I feel more discerning. I feel better able, which is important too, to be able to go out in the world and have a little bit of protection around yourself, not closed off to being loving and kind, but a little protection in this crazy world right now. You've taught me.
I wanted to kind of go back to something you just said, asking your guides and angels for help. And this was a big piece of work we did together that you really brought to the surface, that had been your practice. In the practice, in the Psychic Mastery program, it's your higher self is your guide. Your higher self is your wisdom. Your higher self brings in the intuition. It's like learning how to honor your higher self and not giving up all your power to your guides. Yeah. And that we're under this misconception. And believe me, I love all my guides and ancestors, and I love the work that we do together as a team. But I was so used to giving up so many parts of myself to other people's opinions and guidance. It was an easy thing to do with guides, but I was challenged to know, nope, you get to recognize your own inner wisdom and guidance first. You trust that, you really anchor it, then you can bring in the guidance.
Right. And that has been, perhaps the biggest gift I've gotten from working with you, though there's been a lot of gifts, is connecting to my own knowing and truth. Because I feel like, most practitioners we have blind sides. I've seen it working with other spiritual practitioners. And that was definitely my blind side. It was just like, no, my guides will take care of it. No, my guides will handle it. Oh, my guides are here. They'll help you. And never really honoring what I was bringing to the healing work, or that I had something to bring. And so working with you and getting in touch with my higher knowing and working from that place of healing, it's just been a profound shift. And it's, it moves across all areas of my life, and it's, I definitely see using these techniques for the foreseeable future. I mean, throughout my life, they've really, really shifted me, and it is a big difference. And it gives me more confidence as a human being and as a practitioner to work in this way. And you wouldn't think it. I wouldn't have thought it before, but it does. It makes me a stronger practitioner to lean into myself more, and I didn't realize it's important.
Well, when you become the hollow bone, and that's that you become that emptiness so that you can channel the divine through you. So I'm just going to really oversimplify this a bit to make it maybe a little easier to understand what happens. And then you might have guides working through you, working through you as that hollow bone. But what happens is your frequency is so high that, and otherworldly, that you are extra sensitive, and then it's hard to go out. It's hard to be out in public. But when your spirit is fully embodied, your aura is your frequency. It's this frequency of your soul is in the frequency of your body, and you have so much more resilience. And that's, again, another thing that we teach in that program about becoming you, It's time for us to become who we are. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, I remember, I think it was the first I had a reading with you a long time ago, and you were, you said, "Whoa, you have like 899 guides." But then when you when you moved them back, you were like, "Oh, and you're kind of scared little girl underneath that." I'm like, "Yeah, that's kind of true." So from that point to now, I feel like I've transformed massively. And that's the thing, as healers, we think we have our thing down, like our modality. But as the world changes and times change, and we are constantly developing as human beings, not just, even healers, it's like all human beings are continuing to evolve. And this is I just think it's such a powerful, there's so many powerful tools in your toolkit that you're offering that can help us navigate the changes with grace. And that's for the seasoned practitioner and someone who's just coming around to this. I feel like it'll take you where you need to go. Like your higher self
Meet you where you
will
are.
take you where you need to go. And you're always like, notice what you notice, see what you see. Just you're in the experience that you're in, and it's perfect for you. And these tools will meet you exactly where you need them. And if you're more advanced, they'll pick up with you. And if you're just starting off, they're not going to carry you too far afield where you can't handle it. So it's you can trust them,
Yeah. And one of the questions you had asked, is it all right if I share some of these techniques with my clients? Like grounding and running your energy, or blowing roses, which is something we haven't talked about at all on this platform, but it was definitely in the program as a really powerful spiritual tool.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, please share them. Please spread the word. So have you shared them with your clients, and what kinds of experiences are they having?
I do, and I want to say that is not always normal. And it's something I look for, because the fact that Nancy is so like, share this, because some people can be kind of covetous of their stuff. And I just think it's a really good sign of Nancy's character that she wants people to heal, and she's like, please, put it out there. And it's just a good testament to her character, in my opinion. And so, but yes, I do. So like when I get like clients, we work with a lot of energy blocks that are happening in their body and moving those off. And it can be, if a block is rising to be released, it's good, but you have to deal with what it's been blocking as it comes up.
Right.
And so, I will get information about homework and things that they should do. But, I share one of the techniques, of blowing rose technique, quite a lot. And people find that it really helps them. Like it helps, the grounding, because grounding is part of that technique. And I tell people, you could just do that, for a long time, and that'll help you stabilize as these shifts are starting to happen in your body and in your mind, and you'll be better able to meet them as they're occurring. So yeah, I get good feedback about that. And then if they're ready, as time goes on, I've been doing this for a long time, we might look at something a little further along, after. But you could stay with blowing roses forever, and pretty
well, I always have a lot of fun talking to you, because I can talk at very I don't even know, adventurous levels about the spirit world and what's happening. So it's a lot of fun, but just quite humbled by you as well, because your willingness to always be that student, that humbled student, that you don't come in and say, well, maybe, I've got this, and this. You just come in that way of just being very receptive as a student, of being aware that you just might have something new to learn.
Oh yeah. I don't, well, thank you. And I hope I'm always like that, because if I am not, constantly awed by the world and the universe and spirit, it is a humbling endeavor to do this work, and a magical and precious one. And I'm grateful to be a part of it, and I'm really grateful that our paths crossed. And
we know spirit had a lot to do with that.
Hello.
Yeah. So we're just about ready to finish up, because I like to try to keep this around the 30-minute range, but you are writing a book.
I am writing a book. I'm just on the last few chapters. It's called Guided.
What's the title, if you can share, or do you want to wait for the big reveal? And what's the book about?
Well, it's going to be called Guided, and I'm still working on the subtitle, but it's about an everyday girl's life and being moved by spirit through some profound life changes and how that affected me and how that deeply shaped my experience for the better, so you have to wait for the rest. So
awesome. Well, I can't wait. I can't wait to read it for sure. So I just want to let everyone know who is enrolling in the Psychic Mastery program. Kirsten is on many of our calls, so and she will be welcoming you in there. She is, but I also want to let you know, I mean, she's on Facebook so that she can be on our private Facebook page, but she's not a big Facebook person. So I want to share this because if you're not a big Facebook person, that's okay. That we can send you the recorded, definitely the group readings, but any of our events that we might have, we can send those to you if you're not always comfortable being on Facebook. We have about 10 people kind of out in the wings that way. So I want to mention that as well. But Kirsten, it's just always a pleasure to chat with you. And thanks for really sharing that perspective for people who might be wondering, A, if the program might be too advanced for them, and B, if it's too basic for them. So I think you really covered those bases. So
great. Well, it's wonderful being here. It's always lovely to see you and talk with you. And I look forward to meeting everyone who joins. I'll definitely be on most of the calls, so I'll see you there.
Okay. All right, Kirsten, if you'll just stay on, I'm going to go ahead and end this broadcast, but you and I can stay on afterwards. Okay. All right. Thanks everyone for joining. Just to remind you that today, during open enrollment, if you register today, we're going to put your name in for your name to be drawn to have a private one-on-one reading with me, which is kind of a big deal because I've retired from doing that.
Kind of a big deal.
It's kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal.
And so, so throw your hat in the ring and and I'll see the rest of you tomorrow morning when we're talking about the intuitive ability of clairvoyance at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. So I'll see you then. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening.